Greetings, thank you for lending an ear to the Voice of the Times for Friday, September 3, 2021. For today's editorial, time to shift to granular lockdowns. The government is finally waking up to the fact that the series of long community quarantines has failed to loosen the grip of the coronavirus on the country. General lockdowns have proven to be no more than band-aids applied to gaping wounds in a futile effort to stop the bleeding and prevent infection. The economic hemorrhage continues. The country was in deep recession last year, the gross domestic product shrinking by a staggering 19%. Thousands of medium and small businesses have folded or scaled down operations. Last April, the ranks of the unemployed rose to about 4 million, 7.1% higher than the March figure. The social impact is equally appalling, with the poor taking the worst beating. According to the United Nations Development Program, 60% of poor Filipinos had lower incomes this year compared to 2020. The condition of the poor has barely improved. Poor families continue to struggle with the disproportionate impacts of the pandemic, UNDP Philippines Head of Experiments Francis Capistrano noted this week. For almost 2 years, the government has been imposing lockdown after lockdown of varying intensities. Metro Manila, still the ground zero of the pandemic, has gone through a cycle of quarantines as it battles one COVID-19 variant after another. General quarantines, Philippine style, suffer from two major flaws. First, their implementation is almost always delayed. An enhanced community quarantine or ECQ was clamped on Metro Manila at least 2 weeks after Octa Research warned that the highly transmissible Delta variant had already made inroads in the region. Last March, a similar ECQ was imposed only after the vicious UK variant breached our borders and triggered another massive wave of COVID-19 cases. The Department of Health has been too slow to react to threats of surges when it should be the first to raise a red flag. The official reason that it needs hard evidence or positive confirmation is not compelling enough to justify a delay in its decision-making. Second, lockdowns are loosely enforced. The simple mandate of wearing face masks and shields is not followed conscientiously. People still walk around with face shields up or their masks worn improperly. Physical distancing is hardly practiced in crowded neighborhoods. Clearly, there is an urgent need for the government to rethink its present lockdown system. Already, the concept of granular or localized lockdowns as the way forward is gaining traction. This week, DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said, the consensus among the government agencies is to replace regional or municipal-wide quarantines with lockdowns that target specific communities, neighborhoods, or streets where clusters of COVID-19 cases have been detected. MMDA Chairman Benjamin Benhur Abalos Jr. wholeheartedly agreed, saying granular lockdowns are more microscopic and more surgical. They could also be more cost-effective than general quarantines. Abalos said 3,040 households in Metro Manila are already under granular lockdowns, although he believes a hard lockdown should always be the last option. The concept will work only if local and national authorities collaborate in implementing it. Lockdown communities must be sealed shut to allow public health teams to come in to do COVID testing, isolate or transfer out cases, and conduct contact tracing. Inoculating residents is another key element in ensuring a granular lockdown's success. Once localized quarantines are approved by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or the IATF-EID, the government can fully concentrate on economic recovery. One way of jump-starting business in Metro Manila is by establishing what the Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Jose Maria Joey Concepcion III, calls Bakuna Bubbles, malls and similar commercial hubs exclusive for vaccinated people. Concepcion's idea has gotten the nod from mall owners, food chain executives, and other business leaders. He defends his brainchild from criticisms that it discriminates against unvaccinated people. Restricting full mobility of the unvaccinated is the price to pay, but this is not permanent since things can change when we get better, he says. The IATF-EID will most likely approve the shift to granular lockdowns. It has no choice. The war against COVID-19 requires constantly readjusting strategies to fit the situation. If we do not innovate, we are doomed. And that's the editorial for Friday, September 3, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and listen to the Voice of the Times.